Newcastle's fruit and vegetable markets have been an integral part of the region's commerce for more than 20 years. But last night, Newcastle City Council voted to sell the Sandgate site as part of an asset sale to fund the 1997-98 budget.
The property is one of about $9 million worth of properties that we identified as potential properties to enable council to meet its $5 million target for asset sales.
Stall holders still have leases on the property, ensuring the market will be viable in the short term. However, the market's future is unknown beyond the lease period. Newcastle Markets Management wouldn't speak today about council's plans for the site, except to say there are serious reservations about the sale. Meanwhile, council has finally made a decision on the Honeysuckle site. A local environment plan has been adopted for the grassed area west of Wharf Road to Wickham, excluding the contentious hotel site on Wharf Road. Despite no immediate investment interest, the environment plan now allows council to put plans for low-cost housing and commercial buildings into action.
And we've taken the initiative. We've sent a signal to the Minister that we're prepared to get on with the rest of the Honeysuckle. We just have a problem with the Merriweather Street Wharf.
Blake Doyle, NBN News.
Newcastle has a long tradition of fostering new music. A very few even go on to international success. It's a long road, but a new CD officially launched today has given 13 young unemployed hopefuls a gentle push. The CD, called Gap, was put together by the WEA training company using a little government money and a lot of ambition.
Music has always been my dream, and I've been out there in a few amateur bands and stuff, but this could be the one thing that really helps me break into it.
It's very diverse. There's lots of different genres. There's some techno, computer music, there's some heavier rock, there's some more acoustic ballads, and there's songs that we all just sing together on.
While most want careers, others have more modest ambitions for the release.
My real dream for it is somebody's going to sit home and listen to it and maybe get some sort of empathy or sort of, be able to understand what's being dealt with. And
the trick now is to get the CD out and before an audience. To do that, those behind the album need community support from radio stations and record stores. All the proceeds from the sale will go towards releasing another CD of undiscovered talent in the future.
What's the feeling like at the moment?
oh mate, unbelievable. Imagine beating the Bronx for that much.
But tonight there's just no excuses. That was a very pathetic performance from the Broncos. And,
It was a celebration of conservation, the World Environment Fair drawing thousands to the city's foreshore for a day of entertainment, education and fun. Featuring eco-markets and renewable energy technologies, Newcastle was on show to delegates from around the globe.
Well, we actually like to think we are a great example of an environmental city. We have lots of projects in environmental management at Council that are working towards making us cleaner and greener.
A world first in environmental products was launched at the fair. Called Smart Windows, the Australian invention reduces power consumption in a building by 20%. It will be showcased in the Olympic Village at Sydney.
Well, they're the first windows that you can actually have tinted when it's hot to keep the sun out and clear when it's sunny to let the sun in. So we call them smart because that's a smart way to run a lifestyle, to have a building that's responsive to the environment.
Students also got in on the act, with 20 schools constructing their own solar-powered vehicles that raced away on just 8 watts. The younger crowds explored their artistic talents by finding a new use for old garbage.
Children are extremely important to a sustainable future because we're looking for long-term environmental solutions.
Simone Cobb, NBN News.
What better way to recover from a miserable weekend than on the golf course, although some players' form at Steelworks may have added insult to injury. A meeting of the Excalibur Club gave the Knights and their supporters a chance to unwind after yesterday's loss to St George, although the players themselves were still searching for answers.
I don't know, we didn't treat it the right way. We talked about a good defensive record and mate, it was just all talk when we got out there. We didn't look after ourselves.
I felt we were in control for much of the game, except for when we couldn't control the ball, and that's the name of the game.
Obvious disappointment for coach Malcolm Reilly. The Knights were expected to win at Cogra, and while there were some positive aspects, he concedes parts of the game must improve.
I thought our kicking game was very poor. We subjected them to no pressure at all with offensive kicks. There were really nothing kicks when we turned the ball over, and you just can't do that.
Some consider Newcastle unlucky. The Knights were on the wrong end of a 9-5 penalty count. They had this disallowed and really is in two minds about an interference on Darren Albert late in the game.
That should have been a penalty, clear penalty. It shows on the video. Why they can't seem to pick these things up, amazes me.
Origin commitments will again play havoc with the team's preparation in the lead-up to the Norths game, although the seasoned players admit it can't be used as an excuse.
The Broncos done it over the last couple of years and they won premierships, so if we think we can win a premiership, we're going to just have to do it.
The lights were on, but nobody was home. Contour's gym closed its doors on Friday. Even the real estate agent was caught unawares, having to call in a locksmith to open the King Street building.
I think it's disgusting. I just can't believe, it makes you think, was it all planned?
Members paid up to $500 for 12 months membership for the latest in fitness equipment. This is all that is left: empty rooms and broken promises. The owner, Frank Ryan, was unable to be contacted today, but in his absence, other gym owners have rallied to restore confidence in the industry.
If you see ridiculous discounting going on, there must be a reason for that. Is there a cash flow problem? Is there something going on? Please beware.
It's a familiar feeling for Planet Fitness boss Dallas Rosekelly, who helped clean up the pieces of the Body Focus closure early this year. He's joined forces with rival gym How's That to give Contour's members special rates so they don't lose all their money. Licences for fitness centres are seen as the ideal solution, but that won't help the two tradesmen who've been left $100,000 out of pocket.
There's builders, other printers, of course, advertising and that he's done. He's used everyone to the full extent.
Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
It's fast becoming Port Stephens' primary tourist attraction. The area's pod of 80 dolphins are riding a new wave of popularity, attracting tourists from far and wide. To maintain the momentum, the federal government has provided $200,000 for a dolphin interpretive centre to help familiarise tourists with the animals.
What we will see here with this Dolphin Interpretive Centre is some 9 to 10 people employed directly, but the huge spin-off effect with tourists coming to town to see the dolphins, and perhaps it's a trigger for greater hotel accommodation, upgrade.
But while applauding the initiative, there's also concern from established operators. Dolphin watching has reached saturation point, and any more could force the creatures away.
Before we wake up one morning and they're all gone, we should say, OK, hold no more. Let's just put a stop on all of the increases in this activity and test the waters.
To ensure the dolphins aren't driven away, a Port Stephens Dolphin Foundation has been established.
The aim of the foundation is to ensure that our dolphins and other wildlife projects are looked after and maintained for our tourism industry.
Blake Doyle, NBN News.
From the word go, he left everyone in his wake. Through the forests of northern New South Wales at the back of Coffs Harbour, Possum Bawn was in sensational form. Hot on the heels of yesterday's Heat 1 victory, the Kiwi was right on the speed again. Together with co-driver Mark Stacey, the pair was never seriously challenged, winning all but one stage.
It gets better and better because the object is to try and get as many wins as we possibly can, more than the rest, and finish every round.
Bawn finished well clear of defending Australian rally champion Neil Bates in his Toyota Celica, 2 seconds further back the Mitsubishi Lancer of Ed Ordinsky. Double reason for celebrations for Subaru, with Bawn's teammate Greg Graham taking out the Group N standard production car class. He finished clear of Newcastle's Michael Guest. And a gutsy ride by Chris Muntz for Desert Chill's second Brisbane Cup in just 3 years. It paid $4.60 and $1.90 for the win. Sapio $3.30 and Shaskay $2.70. The Quinella $25.30 and the Trifecta $2.14.40. Back to race 5 now, the Queensland Turf Club Classic over 1,600 metres. $4 and $1.80, $2 and $4.70, the Trifecta $3.94.40.
Already, sections of Lake Macquarie are so polluted they're off limits to commercial fishing. However, the full extent of the pollution problem remains unclear. The state opposition has accused the government of hiding a comprehensive report on the health of the lake.
The state government has been absolutely appalling in the delay of actually producing this report. Independent scientists have been able to produce results much, much quicker. They're telling us there are problems with the lake. Now we're saying to Bob Carr, come on, give us the report and let's just see what the problems are and get on with fixing them.
A government spokesperson points out the independent report was commissioned by a range of bodies, including Hunter Health, Pasminco and Lake Macquarie Council. The major pollution problem relates to heavy metals from a number of sources, particularly selenium, which it's believed leaches from power station fly ash dams. The state opposition maintains those responsible for the pollution will have to help pay for any clean-up.
Anybody who has benefited from the pollution should obviously be contributing. The question is just how we go about doing that in a constructive way to benefit the whole community.
The report on the health of Lake Macquarie is due to be released in Newcastle on Thursday. Phil Hind, NBN News.
It may be their first dress rehearsal, but the stars of Starstruck 97 went through their routines without a hitch. Now in its 5th year, the gala performance opens to a full house tonight. Thousands of students singing and dancing their way through the history of entertainment. With 104 primary and high schools from throughout the region taking part, producer-director John Deacon says the group rehearsals are a challenge.
They're long, they're hard when you're putting 2,700 kids together for virtually the first time today. That's with our choir. Lighting and sound have got to kick it all in one hit. It's really immense, but it's gone smoothly.
It's a non-stop performance that grows more popular every year, with Mr. Deacon adopting a rather unorthodox approach.
I get a team of people together who are very creative, and every time we have a formula for the show, we say, OK, now let's change it.
Starstruck finishes on Friday night. Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.
R2-D2.
Since its release 20 years ago, Star Wars has attracted a cult following, fans now enjoying the recent re-release of the sci-fi epic. Today, one of the film's much-loved characters paid a visit to Year 9 and 10 drama students at St Paul's in Newcastle. Stripped of his metallic costume, R2-D2 looks a little different, but he's big on charisma and eagerly shared his experiences of playing the robot.
It's good fun, it's good, it's easy enough really, it's just uncomfortable most of the time, but you get used to it, and it's a lot easier than playing C-3PO or an Ewok.
The cabaret performer came to Australia for a Star Wars convention in Melbourne and was invited to visit the school by a friend. And while his line of work may be a specialty, he still had some tips for his young fans.
Well, you've just got to keep going for it, as in any business,
Mr Baker jets off for Tunisia shortly to start work on the long-awaited Star Wars prequel. But first it was time to sign some autographs for those who didn't mind being zapped a couple of dollars. Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.
After 2 years of fighting the Durali mine proposal, residents were dumbfounded this morning when they heard the news.
I'm absolutely shocked that they could say in their executive summary that they're extolling the virtues of the environmental values here and then say that we recommend that a mine can go ahead.
A commission of inquiry recommends that the $45 million open-cut mine proceed at Stroud Road. CIM Resources is the company pushing the mine, which would operate for 11 years and produce 1.8 million tonnes of coal a year. In its report, the inquiry recognised that Mammy Johnson's River was an unspoiled waterway with rare high biological values. But it also acknowledged that the mine could contaminate both the Mammy Johnson's and the Karua rivers if proper mining procedures aren't implemented.
This is an unregulated river, one of the rare unregulated rivers on the east coast. It runs into the Karua, which then runs into Port Stephens, so we've got the potential of tourism and agriculture, fishing and oyster farms to be affected by this mine.
The concern for residents is that the fate of their pristine river could be left in the hands of a company that does not have a good track record. CIM operates a coal mine at nearby Stratford, which recently had a pit closed because it polluted a creek with dirty water.
An immediate reflection of people is that if the government does follow through with this recommendation from the Commission of Inquiry, that there will be devastating environmental as well as social consequences in this area.
Residents fear the Minister for Urban Affairs and Planning, Craig Knowles, will simply rubber stamp the recommendation. They've vowed to lobby the Minister and plan to seek legal advice. Simone Cobb, NBN News.
Last night's State of Origin win must have rubbed off at Falcons practice today, the side revelling in a variation on touch football. The trio of Matt Lowe, David Simmons and Ben Pepper missed the fun. All three are struggling with the flu.
There's obviously something going through the team, so I'm just hopeful that Simo and Pepper will be available on the weekend. I know Matty Lowe won't be, and I just hope nobody else gets it.
Despite the health scare, the Falcons are flying high with 2 wins on the trot. They're sitting third from the bottom of the table with a 4-6 record. It's a tough road trip ahead for the Falcons this weekend, up against the experience of the Bullets in the class of Canberra.
Canberra lost again last night, so that's 2 in a row for them, so they'll be really champing at the bit to get back on the winner's side. And as well as Brisbane, I'm sure they wouldn't have been very pleased losing to us. They would have been a game they would have chalked up as a win.
Canberra's always tough, and to back up the next day against Brisbane will be even tougher, especially because it's not a night game but an afternoon game.
Blake Doyle, NBN News.
The $2.1 million grant is part of a staggered program to revive employment in the Hunter region. With tourism touted as the major growth industry, the federal government says it was the obvious choice for funding.
Research has shown that by the end of this century, and which is only a couple of years down the track, that 1 in 9 people will be employed in tourism in the Hunter.
At Campbell's store in Morpeth today, representatives from Hunter Tourism and the Howard government launched the initiative. Helping out was employee Warren Redding, a graduate of a previous program. A separate funding package will go towards marketing the region overseas.
Because it's okay to provide funding for positions, but you also need to provide the extra travellers here to provide that income to support their wage. And so that these packages are great.
Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.
These are some of the RAF's most elite fighter pilots. Their dawn landing at RAF Williamtown signals an end to an intense 5-month course to become a fighter combat instructor. Prior to touchdown, the crack pilots flew from RAF Base Tyndall in the Northern Territory before a dawn bombing raid on the Singleton Army camp. The Top Guns now have a weight of responsibility, teaching the RAF's future Hornet pilots.
There's a lot of responsibility and expectations placed upon you as an FCI, so that will certainly hold many more challenges in the future to be able to live up to the responsibility and requirements of the job.
They're also the country's front line of air defence.
I suppose we now are the people who will lead the show if the show needs to go somewhere.
All 5 pilots have years of flying experience between them in an occupation they wouldn't swap for the world.
It's a great job, huge amount of satisfaction. I've one of those kids that always wanted to fly. I love every day when I jump in the aeroplane and go flying, so it's a very easy job to do.
I feel quite fortunate to be doing it, and it's just probably one of the best jobs that I ever think I can be ever doing.
Blake Doyle, NBN News.
After 3 big days of competition at Wagga, Newcastle's representative players return to the local competition tomorrow, buoyed by their success in the Richardson Shield. In Series 10 action, Singleton host Wanderers, University meet Hamilton, Merewether Carlton play the Waratahs, while Muswellbrook is at home to Maitland. Little doubt about the highlight of the Newcastle Rugby League round. It's the top of the table clash between Lakes and Wests. After wins in last year's grand final and the opening round in '97, Lakes are favourite. The Seagulls entering the match also with the best attacking and defensive record in the league. The match of the round is one of 3 games on Sunday. Tonight, Central Charlestown travels to Townsend Oval to meet Souths. NBN Soccer League leader Broadmeadow is at home again this weekend. The Magic play Toronto. Despite an early scare in its last appearance, Broadmeadow came from behind for a 2-1 victory over Edgeworth. The Magic Stags clash kicks off round 9 of the Premiership on Sunday. Home games for Highfields, East Maitland, Wallsend and Edgeworth. More than 100 Malibu riders from across the region will compete at Dixon Park this weekend in the Steel City Malibu Club Championships. It's the final event of the 96-97 season. And offshore powerboat racing also comes to Newcastle this weekend, with machines from across the state competing in a 120 nautical mile endurance. Competitors warmed up on the harbour this afternoon. They'll take to the waters in and around Newcastle from noon on Sunday. Jonathan Upton, NBN News. A rugged battle up the middle at Harker Oval this afternoon. A West high tackle in one of the first encounters opened the way for David Smith to set up a 2-0 advantage. Handling was always going to be a telling factor, and the Rosellas struggled early on. In fact, it took almost 10 minutes before the locals spent time in seagull territory. Chances started to appear for both sides. West's only just missed out, before Lakes hit the jackpot soon after. A conversion from out wide made it an 8-point buffer, but West looked set to get one back. A touch of luck from a wayward kick gave the locals an overlap, but a forward pass ruined the comeback and Lakes held on to win. The victory keeps the Seagulls on top of the ladder. Souths, West and Curry are in a 3-way tussle for second, while Central Charlestown has firmed into favouritism for the wooden spoon. Only one game in the NBN Soccer League. There were 3 washouts. Western and East Maitland drew 1-1. Newcastle is currently in an overtime battle with Brisbane in the NBL. The match finished 97-all moments ago. Last night, the Busy Road double started well enough. Ben Melmoth opened his account with a jam before the Cannons replied through rookie import Mario Donaldson. An uncharacteristic slow start from Tony Jensen, not from Butch Hayes. The captain orchestrated the Falcons' attack for a 22-21 quarter-time lead. But that was as good as it got. Unlike the Cannons, Newcastle couldn't hold on, outscored 34-19 in the second term. And while Jensen hit top gear with a game-high 24 to finish the match, Canberra was simply too good.